Hello guys, it's Racing Gamer HD here and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the latest update, which is update 7 on Forza Motorsport. So it's been a few days since it's dropped on the 8th of April. We've had a couple of days to play around with it and get a feel for the new track, which is Brands Hatch. And we're going to talk about some of the key parts of the update, some important things that you should know. Now, whilst we do that, I've got some gameplay in the background for you as we try very badly actually to set a decent lap time in Rivals and grab a sneaky, well, we try and make an attempt to grab a sneaky world record whilst no one's watching really, because at this point in time, whilst I recorded the gameplay, only 750 players had entered a lap time in the Rivals leaderboard for E-Class. So we're going to try and get a sneaky world record. So I've got that gameplay in the background. Can we do it? You're going to watch multiple clips of me trying and failing. So yeah, watch that in the background whilst I talk through some of the updates. So let's get straight into it. First things first, the first part of the update is they've decreased the file size by 25 gigabytes on Xbox Series X and 29 gigabytes on PC. So the update's slightly larger at 15 gigabytes. Now, this is a bit strange because where they found 25 gigabytes on Xbox and 29 gigabytes on PC is baffling to me, which kind of in and of itself suggests that the original file size was far too large. The next thing mentioned in the update is a change to the Forza race regulations. In the last update, they made two specific changes to the FRR model. The first change was to add more examples of sideswipe collisions to the model's training data, and the second was to reduce false negatives. And this had an unintended consequence of also increasing false positives, which basically means that people were getting penalties for things that they shouldn't really have gotten penalties for. And to be fair, I have experienced that as well, especially when you graze past another player, you seem to get quite heavy penalties. And I'll regularly get penalized 0.5 seconds or a second just for grazing the side of another player. And I've seen some videos of other players get 4-second penalties even for making like soft collisions on the side of other players. So I'm glad they've reined that back and hopefully they get it correct in the next update. Now I'm just going to switch back quickly to commentating on the gameplay. As you probably noticed just very recently, you saw a pop-up where I gained the 13th quickest lap time on Rivals, and we're actually onto a better lap here. So the target time to beat was 55.7. We get a good exit. You'll notice at the end of this lap that we actually get quite a good position. So we set a 55.5. We beat TDR Pink, who's quite a quick driver, and we're going to go ahead and set the 7th quickest lap time at this point in time. Now, the next part of the updates are the reward cars. So 2 reward cars. One for completing the Retro Racer Tour, which is the 1977 Formula 1 car, the Renault 15 RS01. The second reward car is for completing the Open Class Tour, which is a 1964 Brabham BT8. Overall, I think some good additions there, especially the Renault, because it can be used against the other Formula 1 cars in the 1970 series. So next up, we've got the Car Pass cars, and the first one is a 2019 Ginetta G55 GT4. In my opinion, this is a great addition. It can be used in the Forza GT spec lobbies as well, and from what I've seen over the last couple of days, it can actually be very competitive. It seems to be quite quick in a straight line actually, so it's a viable option to use online. So in my opinion, anything that can be used online is always a great addition. Back to the gameplay for a quick second. I've decided I'm going to switch out the Mini. As you can see, I set the 8th quickest actually, not the 7th quickest, 8th quickest lap time in Rivals. We're going to switch out the Mini. I didn't feel like I could improve anymore, and we actually decided to go with the same car as the number 1 time, which is a Porsche 550. I couldn't quite get to grips with the Mini and was making quite a few errors, and there's quite a lot of lap time left on the table. So using a Porsche 550 Spider, one of the quickest cars in E-Class, I was hoping that would find us the extra lap time that we needed. Right, back to the Car Pass, guys. So the second car is a 1970, apologies if I butcher this pronunciation, the Matra Simca number 146 Equipe Matra Simca MS650 Tour de France. Jesus, what a mouthful. But that seems to be a nice car. And then we've also got the 2016 Legia number 11 Euro International JSP3, and that seems to be quite a cool car as well. Just wanted to point out that all 3 of these cars are racing cars. Now obviously one of the things that was quite notable in the career in Forza Motorsport is there wasn't a single race car throughout the entire career. However, we seem to be getting more and more race cars, which I think is a step in the right direction. So that's positive to see. Right, let's talk about this next bit here. So this pop-up on the screen is a segment from the update notes which shows the balancing or the rebalancing that's happened, that's occurred as part of this update. And there's quite a few things on there that I just want to go through. So this is actually not something that was initially disclosed by Turn 10. In fact, I personally found out that there was rebalancing of certain cars through someone else's videos, and that person is a content creator called Ash, and his video is really good. If you just type in Forza Motorsport 7 update into YouTube, you find this video. In fact, I'll put a link in the description. Really good video that highlights some of the changes, and that's where I first learned of the changes. So the first thing is we need some more transparency from Turn 10. If they're going to make changes to the game and not tell us about it, unfortunately that's not good enough. So we're going to need some more transparency from Turn 10, and they really need to start telling us about all the changes that they make as part of any update. So that's the first thing. Secondly, let's start talking about the changes that they've actually made to the cars. We're going to focus mostly on the touring car changes because that's the one that I tend to play most. And we're going to start off with the changes that they made to the Hyundai. So they've increased the engine torque by 3%. Now that was a bit of a strange one because the Hyundai Veloster, for those of you that don't know, is actually already quite a quick car in a straight line. That's where its strength is. If it needed balancing, it actually needed more grip, not more power. And it's a bit of a weird thing that they did, because if you look at the Formula 70 series update on the BRM, they've increased the grip on the car. So clearly they can do that if they wanted to, but for some weird reason they've decided to increase the power on a car that's already got enough power. It's a bit strange. Anyways, they've also said they've decreased engine torque by 7% on the Golf GTI. Now what that's supposed to mean is they've increased the engine torque by 3% compared to the last update, and that's because initially they decreased the engine torque by 10%. So a bit more clarity would have been a bit helpful there. Is that going to make the GTI usable again? I think so. So that's a good change there. Hopefully that balances that. It says here they've decreased the engine torque by 0.55% on the MG. That's not quite correct. It's actually 5.5%. So that should hopefully bring that car in line with the rest of the others, because the MG was the meta prior to this update. So let's see if that car is still usable. Let's see if it's in line with the others. The next one is a decrease in engine torque by 5% on the Peugeot, which is a bit of a strange one. The Peugeot wasn't overpowered necessarily, so I don't think that needed to be tampered with, but they've gone ahead and nerfed that by 5% in terms of the engine power. Now the most interesting one for me personally is the Subaru Levorg. The cars had a bump in power by 9%. That's a lot of power. That's a big increase on the power, and that's a big one because that's actually a car that it's a bit of a unique car in the series. It has got some unique strengths. Specifically, it's got very good handling, and it's the best car in tyre management as well. The only thing that it suffered with was straight line power and straight line speed. So that the fact that they've bumped the power by 9%, that suggests to me that that car could be the new meta, especially in the hands of someone that can look after the tyres really well and actually extract the performance from the tyres over a race distance. So I'm going to be trying that out. In fact, we've got a race recorded with the updates to the Subaru Levorg, and we're going to be uploading a video on that. So that's quite a cool car, and I think that's the meta car actually, alongside the Audi, which was already a previously powerful car. So looking forward to seeing how those changes impact the Touring Car Spec series. Another thing that they updated as part of this update is the proximity arrows, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the changes to the proximity arrows in the next video, which is part of the Formula Mazda Spec series, where we get into some races online and you can actually see the updates to the proximity arrows firsthand. There's also been various bug and stability fixes throughout the game, some patches, some improvements to performance on the PC. I'm going to have a link to the full update notes in the description, so if you want to have a read through the full notes, you can have a read through them, and comment if you think the updates were good enough, guys. Are we heading in the right direction? Is Forza still savable? Put your comments down below. Now we're going to pretty much wrap up the video there, as I set the fastest lap time I could possibly set. We've managed to get top 4 in the world. Obviously for the time being, because by now I'm probably well down in the leaderboard as the quicker drivers post their lap times, but we can be proud of that. You can see they're number 4th in the world, only temporarily, with a 55.3. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and the next video will go back to racing, back to our quest towards skill rating 4,999, and we'll see you then. Thank you for watching.